makes some noise. But before that, they take you to prepare the gown. Because when you get young, you put on a gown. So you yourselves have to do the sewing of the gown for your colleagues. So you do that. Then on Tuesday morning, this machine is sounded on top there. But there will be a priest. You stand where you stand, the gown is put on you, and then the rope around your neck. They tie the ropes around your feet, and something very heavy, concrete. It's also, but you won't know about it. It is put there. It has a hook, and there's leg irons around the feet. So as the sound continues for 1 hour, you get used to the sound. But suddenly, where you are standing, the platform separates. One going this way, one going this way. Then you fall. And when you fall, after some distance, the rope holds you. That heavy concrete falls again. And it pulls you. So your head will be there. This will be a long neck, then your body. Then you drop on the floor where we went down. And then the iron of it, they will then take you when they bury your colleagues. You bury them, then you plant lawn, and then you water. This is how the whites were so cruel to us in Rhodesia. But I'm grateful that I went through, and then I finished my 10 years. After 10 years, I was sent back to Northern Rhodesia, where my parents were. This is when I joined you. Yes. Very few among you knew, of course, Michael knew because it was in the children, I think you knew. A few others.
And Noah.
Priska, did you know?
Noah did you?
Oh, Noah?
Yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
You used to
well, I was very revolutionary.
You disappear,
yes, yes,
and then you appear.
That's when I joined you colleagues. That's the little background I wanted to give. Then I joined you and we graduated in 1975, the LLB degree. I then also went to LPI, the Law Practice Institute, and I graduated there. And then I joined the Luchena, if you remember. The Luchena company. I became a partner in the town here, and we practiced in the High Court here. But Justice Slimba became Chief Justice, CJ. But I had my locker. I don't know if those things are still there. Where people are guns. Those lockers.
No, we will not talk about those.
Yeah. But are they still there?
No, they're not.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
Okay. During that time, each advocate had a locker.
It's a robbing.
Robbing.
It was a robbing room.
In the robbing room.
Yes.
Yes, a locker there, where you put your gown. I left mine there 40 years ago and left. I don't know what happened. Oh, these memories. Then, let me share with you how my legal studies at UNZA have been instrumental in my long career in government, both as a politician and a public administrator. After ending my postgraduate LLB degree and another postgraduate program in 1975, 1976 when we finished our LP, I think 76, when we finished I moved to Mozambique to join my fellow countrymen in the fight to dislodge the white racist regime in the then colonial Rhodesia. My legal studies ensured that I became relevant in both the bush as a guerrilla fighter and as a strategist on the planning side of the struggle. You may be aware that it was at that time that our political leaders were on a diplomatic offensive to ensure escalation of the struggle as we were nearing the phase of negotiations and deliberations which culminated in the Lancaster House Constitutional Conference in 1979. My legal training here in Zambia became handy and useful during the 1979 Lancaster House Constitutional Conference, which I participated. I think you may agree with me that my legal qualification, which I attained here in Zambia at UNZA, alongside yourselves, was handy in the protracted negotiations we went through under the arrogant nose of the likes of Lord Carrington, you may remember him,
Yes.
who was the UK Foreign Secretary at that time. Notwithstanding their arrogance, we were able to outflank them in the legal intricacies that characterized the negotiations. Thanks to the legal minds that the likes of Comrade Robert Gabe Mugabe, I'll tell you this one. When I was in prison, at Camp Maximum Prison, that's in the Bulawayo, we spent, I think, the first 3.5 years without coming out. We were not able to see the sun for that period. Then Amnesty International intervened. We were allowed to leave our rooms 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon to see light. But after Amnesty International and the Christian movement intervened, we were now allowed to study. That's how I began my studies in prison. My O-levels, my O-levels, 9 subjects, my A-levels, 4 subjects. Then I began studying my LLB degree. We were 5 when we sat for that degree in prison. It was myself, Edson Zobo, I think you've heard about him. Yes. The president, Mugabe, a white fellow, and another colleague called Malindi. We were 5. We sat for that examination first year. It was intermediate, it was the University of London. And 2 failed, 3 passed. That was the president, Zobo, and myself. The first sitting, we passed. So I'm now at Lancaster. And who was there? President Mugabe. By that time, he now had an LLB degree. He had written his LLB degree, not LLM. He had now done his LLM degree. Edson Zobo had now done his LLD, a doctorate in law. He was now a doctor in law, and then myself. Anyway, this Simbimba, remember, the lecturer who was teaching us constitutional law at UNZA.
Yes.
Yeah, he joined us. So that was the legal team at Lancaster, which did the negotiations. Because of our tenacity and on legal matters, we were able to win many constitutional milestones and concessions for the highly expectant masses back home, such as the right to agricultural land through a willing buyer, willing seller clause, which we, however, amended during the course of our constitutional development to ensure compulsory acquisition of land for distribution to our people. At Lancaster, we had a clause which forbade us to amend our constitution for 10 years relating to land. So we stayed for 10 years. After 10 years, I was minister then for national security. After 10 years, then the president made me Minister of Justice and asked me to introduce law to acquire land. That's what I did. That's what I did. The Land Acquisition Act, 1992, which then brought us the sanctions we heard about. We also ensured that the right of universal suffrage, the 1 man, 1 vote, and the civil and political rights that we were deprived of by the Smith regime were restored. I owe all that to my education at UNZA. That was anchored on a thorough and robust academic and professional grounding, Professor. I've served the government of the Republic of Zimbabwe as a Minister for National Security from 1980 to 1988, becoming the first Black Minister of National Security and taking over as Chairman of the Joint Operations Command, a task which involved responsibility for the integration of Zanla, Zipra, and Rhodesian Army. I'd like to explain about this one a bit. We had the Zanla Army, which was ZANU, Zipra Army, which was ZAPU, and the Rhodesian Army, which was Ian Smith. After independence, we had to integrate the three armies to make one national army. Then the President Mugabe, who was then Prime Minister then, appointed General Walls. Some of you may have heard about him.
Notorious.
He was notorious, absolutely. The notorious General Walls, we decided to appoint him the Chairman of the Joint Operations Command to integrate these forces. After about 4 months in that job, on Kariba, he was drinking whiskey. And then he began talking to some journalists, saying that, he stopped a coup on us just because Mugabe had offered him this job. Otherwise, he would have committed the coup to remove us from power. Because I was Minister of National Security, I got this thing. Then, when I got that information, I told a friend of his, I knew would tell him that I now know. I told the Derek Robinson, was called Derek Robinson. I told Derek Robinson, who was a friend to General Peter Walsh, that with what he has said, that is treasonous. But the Prime Minister was away. I must look for the Prime Minister to get permission to arrest him. Yes. I knew that once he leaves my office, he will phone me. And they would run away. And it happened. They went to South Africa. They gave him his private plane and flew to South Africa. I had no intention of arresting him. So they went away. Then the next day I was appointed Chairman of Joint Command. Just wanted you to have that side of the story. Although I was deployed to the Security Ministry, I was overly mindful of my legal training, knowing fully well that security apparatus that had become my responsibility had derived its legitimate authority from the people. These people, I kept on reminding myself, were the genuine authors and framers of the new constitutional order that they had ushered in for ourselves. In that regard, the national interest that we championed as the Security Ministry was the interest of the unified people of Zimbabwe, who had to bask in the sunshine of a brand new constitutional dispensation that had high regard for human rights and freedoms. My learned colleagues, knowing fully well that I was a proud graduate of the UNZA Law School, Comrade Arjun Mugabe deployed me to the Ministry of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, and leader of the House for 12 years, from 1998 to 2000. That is 12 years, where I assumed the position of leader of government business in the House, a position that I hold even to this day as a Vice President. I am still leader of the House in Parliament. As leader of government business in Parliament, I'm expected to be conversant with intricate law-making processes, the rules and orders, and the traditions of parliamentary democracy. This has been a very simple task for me, thanks to my studies as a lawyer and professor in CJ. Learned colleagues, during my tenure, there was a critical shortage of judicial officers. In response to this challenge, we set up the Judicial College to address the shortage of magistrates, prosecutors, and other judicial officers in Zimbabwe. We were mindful of the imperative need to also change the complexion of the bench so that it became representative of all the mix of our society. we are putting it politely, we wanted a black bench. In that spirit, we had earlier on taken a bold decision through the enactment of the Legal Practitioners Act of 1981. We spearheaded the reform of the then white-dominated legal profession. I was aware that, I think by 1982 or 81, I can't remember, in Zambia, we had fused already. There was no, the English system, we have attorneys on one side. Solicitor, yeah. That means
and barrister.
Yes, it was there. So I abolished it. Was from the local influence here. The effect of the Legal Practice Act 1981 was that all practicing lawyers, advocates, and attorneys were called legal practitioners and were both endowed with the right of audience in the Supreme Courts, the superior courts. Former attorneys began to appear in the High Court and Supreme Courts, and they were no longer fettered by the need to brief the white-dominated advocates. That was the problem. The bench was also liberated when judges were no longer appointed on the basis of their color, but on the basis of the content and substance of the appointee. Today, a considerable number of women have been appointed as judges, and Comrade R.G. Mugabe has ensured that they are represented at every level of the judicial hierarchy. How many judges, women judges? We have more than 15 women judges here in the High Court. High Court and Supreme Court. I'm also responsible for Justice, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs portfolio. My major task in the Justice portfolio is of ensuring justice delivery for all Zimbabweans. This we achieve through the provision of legal advice, civil litigation, and legislative development, policy and legal research, constitutional awareness, human rights protection and promotion, and provision of legal aid services. And also, some of my mandates in the ministry. These are some of my mandates in the ministry. Let me reiterate the need for our governments and those of us on whose shoulders he has landed the legal and judicial responsibility of justice delivery to support institutions of higher and tertiary education, such as UNZA Law School. We should also continue to put measures to ensure that legal training at UNZA and other law schools in the region is in keeping with the social, economic, political, and cultural and technological advancements in the world. In the globalized world that we now find ourselves in today, we should endear ourselves to the dynamic changes in the legal field and interact with the national, regional, and international developments in business, trade, and international relations. We should not be oblivious of the intriguing factor of a fast-growing technological world and impact it has made in the legal fields of law, such as intellectual property, banking, insurance, among other fields. We should be desirous of producing highly equipped lawyers who have the zeal to learn more about the serviceability and functionality of the hands-on commercial legal instruments that are usable to transform the commercial sector into a viable one, contributing to the development of our countries in the region at large. With the globalized of the world economy, we also need many international lawyers who touch base with the current bilateral and multilateral legal partnerships, such as the Cotonou agreements that forms the basis of our partnership in many fields of human endeavor with the European Union and the World Trade Organization rules, regulations, and procedures to facilitate trade on an equal basis with the developing world. I believe that the above-mentioned trust should be underpinned by a pursuit of justice and fairness at international and subnational levels, so that the rich nations do not impose their will on the financially weaker ones. This afternoon, I was the guest speaker at the 70th, today is the 70th anniversary of the United Nations, which was formed 1945, 70 years ago. So I was telling them that the founding fathers of the United Nations had a vision to create a world where countries are equal. This indeed has remained a dream. We still have an animal farm under the United Nations. Colleagues, in conclusion, in case I bore you too much, let me remind our legal trainers that the turn of the 21st century has also witnessed a considerable number of partnerships, such as the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation (FOCAC), the Tokyo International Conference for African Development, the Afro-Indian Partnership, the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, and many other multilateral venues for development. You will agree with me that all these issues should be backed by well-trained lawyers, and it is the strengthening of these institutions such as UNZA's role will play and has played. Last but not least, small anecdotes about our time. Chulu, we were staying in the same room. He was very quiet, very quiet, but when things are hard, he was able to encourage me and my colleagues to continue studying. Then Mlam, Vana Wakura. And where's Jacob?
He's all right. He's at home.
They are twins, the Jews. They are twins, and I don't know how the wives would distinguish them. Identical twins, Esau and Jacob. Jessie, she stayed next to me. You remember our coffee? No, at the news, at the other new site, the other side. That's where we're staying. So 40 years is a long, long time. Long, long time. Oh, Priska, stop at you. China. Okay. May I, comrades and friends, my learned brothers and sisters, as Professor Seidman said, legal education is an instrument for sustainable development. We are in that field. I thank you. I met Justice Nyambe and Justice Lobes Sakunde. Huh? Sorry?
Justice
Ma?
Ma.
Wait, okay, I met him.
I read
function.
Mambilima.
No, just a different function. Where I met just. Yes. You informed me about this, and I said I'd come. But I knew there was a steering committee doing the arrangements. And I believe that I felt that my colleagues in the 1975 class are contributing to this dinner. And there I was a beneficiary from that class. And I thought I should put something. I brought some painting, I think. It's a painting. which I want to give to the committee. My secretary, my permanent secretary.
Thank you very much. And allow me to just briefly share what the painting entails. It is a wall painting titled Sunrise in Mana by a renowned Zimbabwean artist, Mr. William Skies. Great Zimbabwe temple ornament featuring desk, pen, and clock on olive wood base is our second gift. Thank you very much, and may you kindly accept. In addition to the gifts, may I also kindly present 2,000 United States dollars cash donated by the Honorable Guest of Thank you very much.
And applause, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine the man with a few.
This was a surprise, and it can only come from a strategist. We are truly grateful. What do you do with 2,000 American dollars in today's Zambia? I suppose we can use it as a fund for future come-togethers, for future initiatives, which this coming together has brought. We talk of the Siamese twins in Southern Africa. That is what Zambia and Zimbabwe are. So we have started in this class. We challenge you, politicians,
No,
to make
lawyers.
it.